everyone, my name is Amber Wible. I'm going to be discussing case 5.1. It's should doctors talk to relatives without a competent patient's consent? Um, Basically, it's about the case is concerning whether or not doctors can relay information to family members about the patient without the consent of the patient, and the patient would be competent, so they wouldn't have any disabilities or be a child or anything like that. It's about a doctor. She's a new doctor who wants to understand more of the ethical concerns about why she's not allowed to tell family members certain information, and why certain information is divulged and other information isn't. A lot of it could be breaking laws due to HIPAA, or basically you're breaking trust between your doctor. The doctor would be breaking the trust of their patient. I understand the dilemma here because you can't break that trust, but at the same time, the doctor wants to make sure that the patient has enough moral support, and their family is aware of the situation, because the patient may not want to tell the family the full story. In the case, she actually says that, if I can find it, she actually says, when doctors are alone with the patient's family, then the family sometimes asks, okay, what's really going on? And then, of course, that puts the doctor in a very difficult situation because they don't know what they should say. And it's not something that's simple. It's a very difficult situation, not just morally or ethically, but also personally for the doctor. I personally understand this dilemma because a couple years ago, just a quick little backstory, a couple years ago, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and she was not going to tell us at all what was going on with her, and it actually took myself and my grandmother stepping to the side to talk to the doctor about, is she going to be okay? Why has she been here for so long? Why are we having to do all of these tests? We just were looking for some understanding because the doctor was not going to divulge that information to us in front of her. And it wasn't until we got him alone did he finally just tell us what was going on, and that she needed all the support that she could get. And he wasn't supposed to tell us, and he was very clear about that. But he felt that it was important enough, and it did break that trust between him and her to tell us. But it was for her own good that we know, just to be able to show that support and care and love that she needed to help her pull through. In the book, Cicella Bach actually discusses secrecy. I mean, even though this is a confidentiality discussion, it's still sort of a secrecy. It's someone's privacy. It's the private matter between the doctor and the patient. She says it serves as an additional shield in case of protection of privacy should something else fail or be broken down. So confidentiality isn't just about protecting the patient, it's about protecting the family. It's about adding a layer of protection that is difficult to explain. I feel like it's something that you really need to be a part of or have a situation of your own to understand the dilemma that doctors face daily. Let's see. When a doctor divulges the information, I guess one of my questions is, are they sort of giving up that patient's autonomy at all. That I guess free will, their personal information, their what's truly going on inside them physically, and what they could be dealing with emotionally. Is that something that a doctor is giving up when they divulge that information to the family? I would say yes. I would say that that's definitely something that is given up. But the reason that they do it isn't just to say, oh, well, we're going to tell all your secrets to your family. No, it's they understand that whatever you're going through, that you need to have that trust between your family, that they will be there for you through thick and thin. I think is basically what it comes down to. If I go back to the case, the doctor in the case mentions that she has two concerns about rule bending. First, that patient's autonomy would maybe weaken when left out of a conversation, and I just touched on that. And then the second one, which I feel is very important, is that information may be shared with relatives that the patient does not wish to be shared. That's something that happens daily, especially when you have a terminally ill patient or a patient who's just diagnosed with cancer, or that may have something that's treatable, but how will they know if they can get through it if they don't have the support that they need? And sharing information with relatives is breaking the law because they're not supposed to do that. But I feel that even though it serves as a huge risk, doctors are doing it for the benefit in the end, for the benefit of the patient. Her dilemma is, how does she deal with this? Is this something that she'll do herself? I would venture to say yes, she would. She's going to have to face these problems at some point, being a new doctor. But I think that she's just going to have to figure out on her own terms how to deal with it, how to handle it, because it's not something that you can read about and just know how to handle, because there are emotions involved, there are laws involved, there are ethical complications. Then you're dealing with another person's life, not just your own. Not to mention if media was involved. If it was something very serious, I'm sure that could happen. But it's just, where do you draw the line, and what is the balance between explaining that to that patient's family members? This is a tough case. Because you just can't explain it all exactly how you want to. But I would say that there are greater benefits in discussing the patient's, competent patient's, physical problems, especially if it was something very serious that they needed to have their family involved in. I would say that there's benefits to telling them, whether it goes against the patient or not, especially if the family is concerned and doesn't know the whole story, and especially if the patient is weary of telling the family. I'll say that in my case, it was beneficial, because we were able to pull my mother through and be there for her support-wise. But again, this is one of those cases that is just very difficult to say, no, it's wrong all the time, or yes, it's okay sometimes, but you have to use your own judgment, the best judgment that you have. Anyways, thank you for watching. I look forward to your feedback.